ADOLF BENCA. So the coercion and the cooperatism of coercion unites two forces across the Atlantic, a sensibility that's beyond quantum control and quantum quality, no man's land, bloodlands, and persistence of fascist history. Just because it's in soft polemics, Cold War, and Iraq, Iran to Aleppo. I won't go too deep and too specific, it's too involved, even though it's my subject. 270,000 paintings burned out of Apollo to Apollonian metamorphosis with Tchaikovsky, and then the scientist empiricism. That's why I went to Columbia University to study physics and anatomy at Columbia College of Physician Surgeons, the Che Guevara group, Ernesto April, Ernesto Che Guevara, CIA Korea, embalming 1,800 bodies a year, roughly, to 1,600. Mostly were Asian skeletons and corpses, but that's interesting. That's like MASH. But here we go to the coercion, and we talk about the Arnold Hammer Museum and the directors and drawing center and the evolution of American prodigy pedigrees, that they, like the MacArthur, like the whole thing, it has a sensibility explicated and figured out that it is the explicitity that's conformist to the abstracto, the reductio contra modern sensibility, brings out the duality in East-West relation by modernization. History of a transforming modern world is the most modern when it objectifies it and removes the war, creates a world government. I mean, Hitler, Stalin, Roosevelt, Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong came to power as a painter, painting portraits, and said that there was a cultural revolution. I knew Andy Warhol, and he was nothing. Picasso was nothing because it's propaganda for American fascism. Basically, Franco is local causality, but the Spanish Civil Wars didn't integrate into Roman Empire. America, Brito, Germany, Russia, China. This is a problem with Karol Getzi and Abelovsky, is that they created a wall, an abstract wall, to carry out their operations of execution and termination of my physical presence and my work. I repeatedly said this, and there was something behind that. The frame to be framed in the policies and politics of Abelovsky shooting at me, and Karol Getzi scrimmaging the Jacobin deception tier of a murderous, conniving, corrupt, schizophrenic, paranoid murderer, and scheming with 25 other colleagues on telephones, interregnantly at night at the different periods of the day. There's terror. The terror transforms tremendously. The 18 years of trying to fight for exposés in the National Gallery in a stupid small place like Lokokozari, like Bratislava. With Erdely, before I had exhibition all the way to Vladivostok, and with Miro to Kazakhstan, presidential palaces, and all of it, Moscow, Armenia, Latvia, the whole Mediterranean and northern group. A senator lost his work, so he was. I repeatedly said he was conducting. You know, here we have Adolfo Otto and the revolution and cultural centers, the revolutionary curtains. They traveled from presidential palaces in socialist bloc, Eastern Bloc, Tchaikovsky, Ricardus, and they all came to the Washington exhibition. They all were connected with the cards that I had. My credentials and my forthright continuity to this macro metamorphosis. Erdely, as a major senator, it was like Kennedy and Ronald Reagan, pushed with Licardus and senators towards a final historical period, because his father was a very famous historian from Hungary, elderly. And the etap of my work, Austro-Hungarian, Rudolf Benca and Hubert Benca, Johann Benca, Adolf Benca, 13 Adolfs, Andreas Benca is the autocross champion. I'm a painter, and this is a central position in America as a Columbia University Ernest Abel, is that he was a painter, like Hegel said. The dialectic goes to history. But why are they attacking me and terminating me? You know, you don't have to be, just because you're good doesn't mean you get what you want, or it doesn't mean that because you're good, or it means anything. It doesn't mean that, it means that you're obviously somebody who knows what they're doing and is threatening them politically. They want to terminate you. That's why I went to the Arm and Hammer Museum, and the politics of art, museums, history, but the politics are polemically exaggerated. The subtleties are basically like having a silencer, a magnum, and just killing you, like Dr.Hc killed right next to me, and Colonel O'Connor by agents. He could have killed me, but they want to bleed me and terminate me slowly so that they can get the most out of the work. I didn't become a millionaire. That's what was the irony. They always made a very clear point that I never became rich. The extortion phenomenon of my family, I will never get anything out of them. But then my life has to work. Now this is the thing, is that with Irving Pedlin and Leon Golden and Columbia, Cooper Union, Hans Haka, Dory Ashton, the Jackson Pollock and Kadish and Philip Gust and Lee Krasner, Robert Motherwell, they were all my colleagues. Not include other ones much younger, like Andy Warhol and Roy Lichtenstein, Jasper Johns, and going on to Rauschenberg and Julian Schnabel and David Sally. But then I went to do exhibitions in Grenoble and Paris and Maison de Culture and museums, Bologna, Arte Fiera, and World Congress address in Bologna, University of Bologna, and on top of Israeli, Ariel Sharon, like I was at the UN with Kukan, and Ariel Sharon and Eastern Bloc. I keep traveling with the Eastern Bloc. That's why they eventually invited me in 85 to that exhibition, 93. Finale when they opened the new Czechoslovakian embassy. It was huge. But the Slavin Award when I was 6 in 1965 was under Brezhnev, the Moscow president. I was the first prodigy painter painting revolutionary murals, huge, 3 meters by 15 meters, with Alexander Vika Atelier, revolutionary government buildings in Bosnia, Albania, Armenia, Bulgaria, Moscow, Latvia, Ukraine, Belarus, etc., Kazakhstan, Kurdistan. I embodied the communist style when I was 6 years old. I was painted the Slavin monument, which is an Ibuliscum, Cleopatra needle of Egyptian monument for liberation of Stalinist revolution, 36. But Stalin and Roosevelt and Hitler and Churchill and Mao Zedong neutralized the aggression and got out of control with Hitler and was terminated by Eisenhower. So that's why I went to Colombia under Eisenhower with Ernest April, because it was the Martin Luther King, the Dr. Luther King, the Malcolm X, and the Frederick Douglass position of union of neutral, interracial, hegemony, heterodox, and international universum, Buddha a la Christ, dialectic to ophthalmological universum, rotundus universale. Adelphia, THEOS Adelphio, modern, not Arnold Toynbee like with Oxford with Flavia and Milano to Palermo, Fermi Milano Group and the government buildings, but using communist and democratic government buildings to post-Guernica, Orozco Siqueiros Rivera and Bramante Bernini Benza, the post-Caravaggio Goya, the black subjectivity reflected, the objectivity, subjectivity reflected objectively. It wasn't a propaganda artist for communists, because communism had a flaw. It was part of imperialism, the new evolution of socialism, and that's why Ernesto Che Guevara was a very virtuous revolutionary. And when I went to Bratislava and Prague, the Minister of Culture, Kňažko, gave me 4 machine gun guard. Under his quote was to conduct a cultural revolution. Not a velvet revolution of Václav Havel, but a cultural revolution of the world, the new Baal, the new cultural world revolution. Adolf Benca, painter, that's why he attacked me. That's why this Jacobin deceit and coercion, cooperativeness, and this 6,500 of these 25 agents were very serious attacks. I survived with a miracle, 3 times listed dead in newspapers and television. I had no negative interest except to liberate my career from America, where I ran into politics like I ran into politics there. My transformation at this point is like Frederick Douglass and my wife, is my family, my mother, my sister, my dead father. Is that, Father, forgive them, they do not know what they're doing. They really don't. They cannot possibly see how the humiliation of this violence caused me how much pain, and how much the transformation has, they made an imbecile out of the humiliation, the perversion of sexuality. It abused me. They gave me brushes that were impotent. I had to force me poster paint to do huge murals, frescoes, like Saddam Hussein and their enemies, the Shiites, the Xerxes of modern world. American liberation, I believe in objectifying all the cultures and giving it the right archive to show that the dialectical polemics cause fascist wars. This is a German Wissenschaft and Zweigin, world government, Zweigin, world government painter, and my Rotundus Universale and my cultural revolution is like Mao Zedong, is beyond Caravaggio, Goya. They're the modern apocalypse dioramas of Divine Comedy of Dante, Adolf Benca. History repeats all over again in contemporaneous as an essence of my inertia.